Welcome to this introductory seminar on the new good practice guidance for handling soils in mineral workings. Firstly, an acknowledgement of the support in producing the guidance is due to Natural England and the Welsh Government, the Institute of Quarrying and the Stakeholders Steering Group. Well, why is the new guidance needed? Well, all soils are now recognised as natural capital and have the same importance as geological resources. And soils are to be safeguarded and managed sustainably. It replaces MAFF 2000. It is for operators, contractors, planning authorities, and regulators, professional advisors, designers and specifiers. And you can find it at www.quarrying.org/soils-guidance. The guidance has a key informative role from project inception to site closure in mineral development and reclamation. And as you can see from this diagram, it involves all stakeholders as well as the complete planning process. The guidance is in two parts. Part 1 introduces the issues and choices. Part 2 provides model methods. The guidance does not specify the equipment, as this is a matter for operators to decide. Part 1 addresses a number of key issues, such as the need for a soil resource and management plan, dealing and avoiding soil compaction, and the sort of planning conditions and controls that may be necessary, along with the other matters that are in this slide. Part 1, the issues are considered in a number of contexts for choosing machinery and practices, which are also listed on this slide, but include things like the common practices used, the risks in using particular machinery, and remedial treatments that are necessary. Supplementary notes are also provided to expand the background and advice for soil-related topics such as soils, the nature of compaction, occurrence of compaction, but also soil wetness, as well as soil mixing and other things that you can see in this. Part 2 provides model methods, which incorporate advice on the advantages and disadvantages of the choices, the suitability of the choice. Operational advice is also given, as well as illustrations and further informative boxes. Key updates are provided in the guidance. In part 1, the foundation and underpinning of the new guidance is the Soil Resource and Management Plan, or SRMP. It has a key role from project inception to site closure and development and reclamation, and involves all stakeholders. You'll have seen this diagram first of all with the guidance. See that the Soil and Resource Management Plan replicates that position, that function. SRMP is important in conserving soil resources, and delivering the intended land uses and ecosystem and environmental services, as well as compliance with the planning policies and consents, and hence is a requisite for all schemes. Soil compaction is a commonly occurring problem caused by the choice of soil handling practice and machinery. The SRMP is to specify the rationale for choice of machinery and practice to minimise and remedy compaction. And the expectation is that operators conform to what is provided in the SRMP. Monitoring reporting is an integral part of the SRMP. Soil wetness exacerbates soil compaction during handling. Soil wetness can vary with seasonally, geographically, with soil types and textures, depth to water table, occurrence of flooding. And the SRMP is to specify the planning and protocol to avoid, minimise the adverse effects of soil wetness. And again, the expectation is that the operators conform to what is in the SRMP. And again, monitoring and reporting are integral to this. Hence, a risk approach to the guidance is provided for the choice of machinery and practices, covering stripping, storage and replacement, soil types and soil wetness condition. It also provides advice for archaeological sites. Different soil textures have different inherent resistance to compaction, and influences the risk levels and restricts the choice of machinery and practices. For example, lower risk soils, there are 3 options for sandy and sandy loam type of soils. Where there are sandy clay loam, there are 2 options at giving it a moderate risk of compaction. The high risk soils are the silty clay loams, the clays, the peaty organic soils. And here there is just one option when dealing with those soil types. I'd like to cover some key updates in part 2 of the guidance. Well, there are 5 machinery practices provided. The standalone sheet format that was in the MAFF guidance is retained, with additional advice on suitability. Earth scrapers are not recommended, and you'd have to go back to the MAFF guidance regarding their use. The updated methods cover the commonly used windrow and hybrid practices, and they're covered by the various sheets that are given in this slide. Avoidance minimisation is the lowest risk strategy, and for this, excavator and dump truck with the bed strip practice is the least risk and considered the best practice overall. All others rely on riskier remediation actions depending on the availability and the effectiveness of equipment, as well as the soils being in a dry condition. Remedial options are now integrated into the soil replacement methodologies, and as such should be an integral part of the practice option if chosen. Monitoring is often overlooked and dismissed, but it too is an integral part of the SRMP and of course good practice. It's important in providing the evidence of achieving the land use and reclamation objectives and also compliance. Providing evidence to justify alternative choices of machinery and practice is obviously dependent on monitoring as well. And of course, it is a way that practices can be improved overall. Ongoing development, well, we hope and we would expect that such guidance would be under continuous development. And to help in achieving this, there's feedback that can be provided via the Institute of Quarrying webpage link, but also the steering group will be retained to review and update guidance according to experiences on an annual basis. Training workshops and seminars will be developed and provided. And the guidance is expected to be expanded maybe to other methodologies for habitat translocation and so on. And perhaps a digital animated training version could also be developed to assist. Well, I'd like to thank you for listening, and we very much look forward to receiving your feedback and achieving good restoration. On this slide, final slide, here are some contacts that may be helpful. Thank you.